to Fish on Fridays. I'm Al McCauley. And when I was going through my undergraduate degree for college, I went to a place called Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And anybody who went to Marquette knows what I'm going to talk about. One of the most recognizable places on the campus, in fact, it's kind of synonymous with Marquette, is something called the St. Joan of Arc Chapel. It's an absolute beautiful, iconic building, and it's a very small place of worship that's used there 3 times a day. Students and faculty and anybody can go there, and there's mass, there's praise. It's just a wonderful, it's idyllic place in the middle of campus. It's a beautiful, very serene setting. Anyway, I spent a lot of time there, especially my last 2 years of my experience at Marquette, and I just loved it. I have so many fond memories of this place. That it really speaks to me, and I want to talk about that today for this particular episode. Not the St. Joan of Arc Chapel per se, but a chapel. And chapels came about because there was a need for people to pray, to praise, to worship God, but they didn't always have an orchestra, and they didn't always have a pipe organ. In fact, that was probably good in some cases because they could feel a little bit more of an intimate setting. And so the word chapel comes from the Latin word a cappella. And it's interesting because what do we think about when we say a cappella? If you know music, you know it means without musical accompaniment, right? And the last several years we've seen these pitch perfect movies and this rise of popularity with a cappella singing in groups and whatnot. But to sing a cappella means without any kind of musical accompaniment. And so it literally means in the chapel. Because again, when you were in chapel, like I was at St. Joan of Arc, when you'd go to mass there, you'd go to pray, it would be very quiet. And if there was any singing done, good, bad, or otherwise, it was done without any kind of music. And so you heard everybody's voices. But that's one part of the story about chapel. But I want to give you another part of it that's pretty interesting as well. It dates back to the 4th century. And it has to do with a guy named St. Martin of Tours. Now, St. Martin of Tours was a 4th century Roman soldier. And the most famous story about him, by the way, he is considered to be the uncle of St. Patrick, just as an aside. But anyway, one of the most famous stories about St. Martin is that as he was on his horse, again, Roman soldier, he comes across a poor beggar. And he takes out his sword and he cuts in half the cape that he had on, and he gave it to the beggar so he would have something to keep warm with, to wear. And so St. Martin of Tours is venerated as a saint today, and we are always mindful of the fact that he was generous and gave to the needy. Well, the remaining part of his cape became so prized as a relic in early Christianity that Frankish kings wanted to own it. And when they finally got it and they felt that they had the cape of St. Martin, they wanted to put it in a special place, or an oratory or a reliquary, a small building where it could be displayed and people could pray and venerate it and whatnot. And so the word cape, kappa, became the place where this cape was stored. And so capella comes from that. And I'm going to read this because I'm not fluent in Latin, but a capella, like I said earlier, is a chapel. It was like the cloakroom to house this very prized relic. Capellani, again, I'm not Italian, but but capellani were chaplains. They were people who cared for the caretakers of this chapel, of this large reliquary where people could go and venerate the cloak of St. Martin of Tours. So 2 very interesting backstories to the word chapel and why we have them. One, to sing a cappella, to sing without accompaniment because it's a smaller, intimate prayer space. And 2, another, to remind ourselves of the great saint, St. Martin of Tours, and his generosity, and how we're called to do that. We're called to be generous too. But if you're ever in the Milwaukee area or visiting in the Milwaukee area, I tell you, you'd be well advised to go to Marquette University and seek out the St. Joan of Arc Chapel. It's a wonderful place of prayer and intimacy and quiet prayer and adoration. So, hey, thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful. And if you'd like to share it with somebody, please feel free to do so. We'd love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook. Either way, we're very, very happy that you keep tuning in every Friday for Fish on Fridays. We hope you'll continue to do that. Until next time, be good to each other and God bless.